I had the chance to read Under a White Sky while sitting in the mountains of North Carolina earlier this spring. And so I'm really excited to talk with you today about the fundamental question at the core of this book, which is to what extent have humans changed our own environment, and should we continue to do so to try to fix the many problems that we've created for ourselves and all the other living creatures that we share the planet with? It makes me think of the old saying, if you find yourself in a hole, first step is to stop digging. But at the start of your book, you use a phrase to describe what the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers works on, like what a lot of their projects are, which is backward looping second order efforts. And that really stuck with me, and it's used in the context of efforts that have been made in Southwest of Chicago, of reversing a river and building an underwater electric fence, and also in southern Louisiana, which is facing more and more flooding and sedimentary loss. How did we get here, and what can we do to avoid unfortunate things like this in the future?
Well, how we got here is, sort of the history of modern society. We embarked on this effort to change the world to suit ourselves, and in some ways we did it consciously. What sort of by implication is a first order Army Corps of Engineers project is many of the really vast engineering projects that made the U.S. what it is today. The Bonneville Dam, controlling all of our major rivers are basically dammed up, and they are for flood control purposes and for hydropower. So we really, set out in a sort of extension of Manifest Destiny to re-engineer the country. Let's just talk about the U.S. now, but it can be extended globally at this point, to suit our own needs and our own purposes. And that was there was a century and a half, let's say, of very exuberant and bold engineering projects, of which the reversal of the Chicago River, which is the example that starts the book, is really pioneering, but also sort of emblematic of those efforts. And then what we find now, having done all that, is in many of those projects we now realize have had very significant environmental impacts that we now have to deal with, or want to deal with, I should say. And then there are the inadvertent ways that we realize that we're re-engineering the entire planet, which, as no one knows better than you, climate change was not something we set out to do, but it was a byproduct. And a lot of our activities have had these unintended consequences of just sort of willy-nilly terraformed, the planet in ways that we now are realizing are pretty dangerous, very dangerous. I can't really be overstated in the summer of 2021.